Excellent. All right, I think we're live. I always double check. I think we're good to go. Hi, everyone. I am Allison. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the executive director of the Gallatin County Democrats. I have the honor and privilege of speaking with our elected representatives every Tuesday and Thursday for an update from the Montana Legislature. And tonight we're joined by Representative Denise Hayman from House District 66. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
It is always a pleasure to get a catch up with you. How are things going overall right now for you?
How are they going? Well,
Loaded question.
yeah, I would say that it's interesting in terms of COVID, for example. We have more Republicans who are attending committee hearings and the floor session via Zoom. So
Okay.
they, that's the only indication that A, they are infected with it, or B, they have been around someone who has been infected with it and they're quarantining. And so the number is growing, but how serious that is, we don't know, because we don't have any rules in place that mandate that they share if they're COVID positive or not. And which is pretty challenging for people who are committed to being there on the floor. And then on top of it, we know that masks are not the bulletproof kind of approach to this. It's just one of many things that you do. And so, yeah, that's been interesting to see. But I just think in light of a level of arrogance and truly a lack of concern, that I don't think it's going to improve. I think we're going to see more outbreaks. And with the new variants, I think that's almost guaranteed. So that's kind of the 30,000 foot kind of look at the legislature that way. As someone who is attending via Zoom, I am very capable. I'm set up well so that when I click onto a hearing, I'm there in real time and I'm heard, my voice is heard, my vote is heard. But that's all really good. The problem is that you can't read the room and you can't read people's expressions, or can you have those one-on-one conversations with people, especially on the other side. So I would say it's kind of a mixed bag. And I feel really badly for brand new people such as Kelly in particular, who is trying to be conscientious about his health. So yeah, that's one thing that's going on.
Yeah. How about bills? So I know that you had a bill recently that had a committee hearing and then it's been tabled. So this is House Bill 99, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So could you tell us just quickly what the bill was,
Sure.
why you were sponsoring it, and then what's happened with it, and if you feel like there's any hope for it, even though it's been tabled? We've seen some things come out of committee, but is there any hand for this one?
Yeah. So it is my big bill this session. I realized very quickly that when we were only going to be 33 to 67, that the odds of passing a bill of any substance was going to be minimal. And so this was a committee bill, which usually you have better luck with a committee bill because it's a bipartisan vote on that committee. This bill barely passed out of committee. And this bill does away with pre-approval for Northwestern. So right now, if Northwestern wants to invest in a project, they pretty much can do it. They don't have to notify the public. They don't have to notify the PSC till they're farther down the line. And this bill just says they have to notify the PSC in advance. They have to get competitive bids. It's nothing different than the average business would have to do. They'd have to go to their bank. They'd have to go to their stockholders or their board and get their approval. And it's just another oversight process to protect the ratepayer.
Right.
But as you can imagine, Northwestern was not happy with my bill. I want to say that I heard from over 300 people and a lot of very thoughtful comments about the bill. I didn't get one email, not one, in opposition to my bill. And that was really encouraging. But the legislature doesn't have to pay attention to the public. In fact, we will see several bills this session where the public will be sidelined in certain processes. And so, yeah, the Republicans didn't want to pass my bill. They tabled it. And great testimony, by the way. You know, Roger Koopman, who, you know, I have grown to really, really respect. He's an excellent example of someone who had rock solid beliefs on this side of the fence. And once he was a PSC member, he, I think, saw the light, saw how much control Northwestern has on our energy prices, and he has changed his belief system. And he testified on my bill and said, yes, we should do away with pre-approval, and here's why. And then he wrote the piece in the paper. So that was very heartening, but it wasn't enough to change minds. And they tabled it. You're correct. And will it make it out of committee? I wouldn't take that odds to Vegas, quite frankly.
That's fair. That's fair. So I think, you know, one of the things that we're going to continually see, and you kind of alluded to that, is that, you know, we're encouraging everyone to engage in the session, and someone has actually just posted a question about, you know, what is the most effective way to communicate with our representatives, and you know, what has the most impact. And I think, you know, I certainly want to keep people engaged. I want people to be submitting comment. I think that's amazing. You received 300 comments about one bill and they were all in support. Like that tells me something, that like there is a desire for this type of legislation to go through, but it's not going to happen this session for the most part. And so, you know, how do we keep how do we keep engaging when we feel like it's an uphill battle? And like, you as a legislator, how do you keep engaging when you know it's an uphill battle right now?
Well, I think that we are able to find common ground with some moderate Republicans at times. They're not going to vote our way on all bills, but we have certainly been able to stop some bills. I am encouraged that several interim committee bills have passed, and they, you know, with good Republican support. So that has been encouraging. Fortunately, they weren't energy committee, but other education committee and judiciary passed some good interim bills that have passed the House. And so that's encouraging. But I guess the big unknown is, what is the governor going to sign? I am terribly concerned about this gun bill that would take away permits and just be the Wild West.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine that there won't be lawsuits on that one, because as a professor, you give a student a bad grade, and you're going to have to worry about them showing up with a gun. And we know that that has happened, and that young people I call them sub-adults, who are not fully developed mentally and every other way, can make horrific decisions when uh, they are in close proximity to guns. Just plain and simple. They don't belong on campus. So I'm hoping that there will be something happening with that really, really bad bill. There are several really, really bad bills that have passed. But I think that one in particular impacts everybody in Montana, quite frankly.
Right. Yeah. And so one of the things that I haven't put this out there, but we can actually contact the governor's office right now about House Bill 102, and we should. And so I will post the contact information on this video after we're done. I'll give you the phone number, and weigh in, contact Governor Gianforte and tell him this bill needs to be vetoed, because it is, for safety. I mean, let's just talk about lawsuits too that will come down the pipe because of it. Like, let's save our state the heartbreak that will come because of House Bill 102. So it's, I think one of the things that I have also, now that we've had at least one of these bills pass both chambers, we can keep weighing in until it's signed. And then even after that, there's going to be advocacy groups and things that keep working to fight against these bills. So let's keep going. So that's,
don't give up.
Don't
give up.
Exactly. Exactly. There's so we're doing good work, and we'll keep doing good work the more we engage.
Yeah.
Other question that came up earlier today was about House Bill 100, which, if I have this correct, and this is one of the bills that I hadn't heard about until the question was asked. There's so many. Is seeking to have community colleges purchase audits rather than being audited by the legislature. And so why is the legislative audit not adequate? And will there be a way to evaluate the efficacy of a third-party auditing company with this bill?
My gosh, somebody is really dug down in the weeds, I'll tell you.
Yes.
And I actually am the person to answer this question, because I am now chair of audit. I'm the only Democrat who is chair of a committee. Yay. Amazingly, yay. But anyway, so that's, I can understand someone's concern on that. It is actually a good bill. It's a bill I brought. So the reason that the bill was suggested is because, and by the way, we do hire independent CPAs to do some of our audits already. And because audits with the community colleges, as you well know, the community colleges are Miles City, Dawson, Flathead. They are in more rural areas, and it's harder and harder to find agencies, companies that will audit them. So we have a history of hiring in the past to have these audits done. These audits will continue to be under our purview, our authority. We will provide oversight. The reason that we have passed this bill, and it did pass, is it will allow community colleges to build a relationship with a local company who can do an audit. And hopefully we are hoping that in light of that relationship, that will reduce the cost. Because right now, audit pays for the overage in cost. And so last audit for, I think it was Dawson, was over by almost $40,000. Well, audit only has so much money in its budget. And so if there was an increase every time you audited of $40,000, that we're talking real money there. So, and this bill was passed with the absolute approval of all of the presidents of the community colleges. They are in total agreement, and we'll give it a shot and see if we can decrease the costs on that. But it was strictly a cost concern.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you for answering that. I had no idea that that was a bill. So Damien, shout out to you. Thank you for asking that question. So what other bills are you watching or that you see coming up in the next couple days that we should be paying attention to?
Well, there's going to be a whole suite of take away voter rights or make voting more difficult. We just saw that with 176, and there are other bills being suggested. So one is something, and it hasn't come to our committee, but a bill suggesting that if you have a child who goes to school at MSU and the family lives in the Flathead, that you cannot vote at MSU. You have to vote in the Flathead, or there is some sort of tax repercussion for your family. I don't know the exact bill, but it sounds like a doozy.
Yes, yeah, that is, I actually do have that one. That came up, that is House Bill 240.
Right.
And that's going through the House Taxation Committee. And it's sneaky. It's sneaky as a voter suppression bill. It's very sneaky. Yeah. So that's one where we've been made aware of this week. Just yesterday, we learned about that one.
And the other one is ID. Again, they keep bringing this. I'm not sure what that bill looks like. It hasn't come to our committee, but they're also doing approaching voting, like we heard a bill today on that there needs to be poll watchers for returning ballots to a drop box. Well, they can do that already, but they love to just tout that so far it's not fair, and we need a second pair of eyes on it. And so I was like, so I take my ballot up to the drop box. Do I have to identify? Is that what you're saying? Well, no, they can't demand that. I mean, they're just sitting there making sure that, I don't know, you stumble and fall and don't quite reach the box or something, and they'd help you. I don't know. I mean, it's all very silly stuff. But they already have the right. Some of you have been poll watchers, you have rights as a poll watcher.
Yeah.
So knock yourself out and sit at the drop box,
Yeah. So would these be like paid?
No.
Like these. So these are like just like requiring that volunteers.
It's in the law already, but they love to just bring bills that are already in statute in the law. They're already poll watchers. They already have the right to do this. I mean, when I voted last election, and I'm sure others did too, you walked into the county courthouse, there was the box there were staff representing clerk and recorder, and then there were poll watchers, off to the side. I don't know what they were doing, but I dropped my ballot off.
Right.
It's a silly bill.
Yeah. It's waste of everyone's time, and I think that's also what I'm finding with a lot of these bills is that they're just a waste.
Yeah,
And, they're being presented by a party that claims to wanting to reduce waste,
right.
and yet they just keep creating it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, so, anything else? Like, energy's been kind of quiet, right? Like, or has there been some more things with energy other?
Yeah, it's pretty quiet because I'll tell you, Dems are not bringing bills. I mean, we knew in November
Yeah.
that bringing, so what has happened historically with really good bills that Democrats bring is that they get killed in committee and then they rise up like a phoenix. And guess what? They've got a Republican's name on them and
Yep.
then they pass them. And
Yep.
that's how Medicaid expansion passed. That's how the infrastructure bills pass. That's how a lot of bills pass. And
Hmm.
they have Republican names on them. So there was not uh, a group decision, but there were enough individual decisions that we all went, yeah, I'm just not going to participate in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, we hardly have any. Derek Skis has brought this really frightening bill, nuclear. So as you probably know, in '78 there was a referendum that said if we're going to have nuclear in Montana, it has to go to the voters. They have to
Mhm.
weigh in, and so his bill removes going to the voters. Ta-da! And so, yeah, that's just one of many bills to disenfranchise the public.
Yep. So we disenfranchise voters, then we take away local control, because that's the
Right.
other big thing that seems to be
Yes.
happening this session. And then we take away our choice and our freedoms to live the way that yeah, anyway,
Sure.
it's all of it. It's great.
Yeah. They've gone from the boardroom to our bedrooms, you know?
Oh, yep, that's the way to put it. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, so there aren't any more questions that are about new things, but there were a couple of questions that were posted back about House Bill 102.
Uh-huh.
Just to ask, is it possible that Governor Gianforte could like send it back for things to be for it to be
Yeah.
amended, or like to remove maybe the campus piece of it and then come back? Like, could that happen?
Sure.
Okay.
But I have no idea what he's inclined to do.
Sure.
I think he should just kill the bill, quite
Right.
frankly. Sometimes, you can amend a bad bill, but that bill has got so much bad language in it that I, I just think he should veto it,
Okay. Yeah.
in my humble opinion.
Mine too. But that's good to know. I think we're every session we learn how the process really works for bills, and so to know that yes, a bill could go through the chambers, get to the governor's desk, and then be sent back to be amended, and voted on again. That's good to
We,
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. Awesome. Well, I don't think there are any other questions. So is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you wanted to just highlight before we call it an evening?
No, I just want to say that I am totally impressed with the comments that people have sent on bills that I've read. I make a point of reading everyone from the Gallatin Valley, and people are very thoughtful in their comments. And keep up the work because I've used a couple of those comments in my statements on a bill. And you oftentimes have a level of expertise that we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, when you share an email with some expertise in it, it's like, wow, that's really helpful. Um,
Mhm.
but I know that we all feel supported.
Good.
This is a tough time, and we're just trying to keep the bad bills from, it's not to the point of passing good bills. We are to the point of trying to keep bad bills moving forward.
Right.
So that's
Right.
that's what's going on. And thank you so much for your support.
Excellent. Yeah, mitigating harm. I think that's the
Yeah,
the slogan right now, mitigating harm. And
yeah.
we are also appreciative of your work and our Democratic legislators who are in the fight every day. We are with you and we're very grateful. Um, and I just want to say thank you once again.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, you take care,
I
be
will.
well, and we'll see you again soon.
You will.
Yeah.
Take
All
care.
right.
Bye.
Bye.